love that picture of her. That's how I remember her, always smiling. Before I read this tribute, I was just going to share a favorite memory of mine was walking around top of the world and going to all the bins and finding things for the men's sale, the women's sale. That was fun. And she was always game to do whatever I wanted to do. She was sometimes she knew all her neighbors. I think a couple of them are here today too. And I just wanted to say, the family, she loved this Corps, and we do too. And she would tell me everything people did for her, making meals, driving her here and there, visiting. We're very grateful as a family for that. And I asked her one time, what would you do if something happened to Bill? And she said, I would stay right here. This is my family. And she loved this Corps. But she was also very willing to come up north, too. She's very cooperative. So this tribute is from Lieutenant Betsy Clark, just one of the grandchildren. She wrote this. It's hard to put words down to describe someone you love so dearly, because in writing things down, you know that you will invariably forget something wonderful that you wish to have shared, or something that comes to mind later on as you are reminded of them in your everyday life. But here is a small part of who I remember my grandma to be and how she impacted me. Grandma was always full of joy. She loved life and everything in it, from a good cinnamon roll or any food in general, to simply spending time with family. Grandma knew how to have a good time and how to see the positives in everything. She always had a song on her heart, which she freely sang for everyone around her. I never knew there were multiple verses to the song Jingle Bells until she sang them all for me. Grandma also was the best receiver of gifts than anyone I've ever met. Every year at Christmas, she would squeal with anticipation at the gifts she was about to receive. She would always try and peek at what the gifts are, and anything she received was the most beautiful, wonderful version of anything she'd ever received. It didn't matter that she already owned 236 Noah's Arks. She loved every single one more than the rest. Grandma remembered who gave her everything and held on to the gifts as if they were the people themselves rather than the sweaters or trinkets that they actually were. Grandma's home was always open to anyone and everyone. She loved being around people. It didn't matter who you were or where you came from. If you entered into her house, you were a part of her family, especially if you were willing to eat her food. When you met Grandma, you were instantly considered a friend. Whenever I went to visit Grandma, I volunteered to cook for her. I could have served burnt octopus covered in beet juice, dusted with sand, and she would love it more than anything else she had ever tasted. Grandma was always appreciative of anything anyone did for her. She was in awe of the people who cooked, cleaned, baked, did yard work, fixed broken things for her. Even in the past few months when she began getting help from the visiting nurses, she told me that she had never had a better shower in all her life. But Grandma was not only known for appreciation of others, she was more known for her service to others. Anytime Grandma came to visit, you knew she was going to start cleaning our house. We started saving our ironing for her, so she would always have something to tidy up when she came over. Her acts of service were one of her greatest expressions of her love. I remember one time she would go over to see Claude and cut his hair. She would take me to the her League of Mercy visitation. She loved that. She was a great encourager. She lived with the kind of stubbornness that taught us to stand up for ourselves and to be confident in who we are. She was willing to admit her mistakes, but more willing to extend grace to the mistakes of others. Grandma never doubted that we could accomplish anything we wanted to. She had more confidence in us than we had in ourselves, but in the same sense, she was always more proud and amazed at anything we did than anyone else. We could have done nothing more than wash the dishes, and she would not have been more proud and amazed at our accomplishment. Her life and character are an example of what it means to live in the light of Christ. To have known her was to have experienced the love of God in a practical, tangible way. It is an honor and privilege to be her granddaughter. I hope, and this is from Mrs. Betsy, representing all her grandchildren, I hope that I can exude even just a small portion of the love and joy of Christ that she shared each and every day.